of the most powerful plants on the planet. This is a plant that is accessible to pretty much everyone. Its benefits have been known for centuries. Now, over the last 100 years or so, the general public and their attention has been shifted away from this plant, and unfortunately, people's health has suffered over the last 50 years or so. So as a result of that, many people have suffered with arthritis, swollen legs, cancer, high blood pressure, and many other different types of diseases, purely because they failed to use the plant that I'm going to reveal to you now. Because of the amazing properties of this plant today, even scientists have now done extensive studies into this plant and have discovered some absolutely astounding results, which I'll talk about later. So what is the name of this plant? The name of this plant is called ginger. How can ginger help you? Well, we're going to be finding that out. But let me just introduce myself. My name is Patrick Montague. I'm a qualified nutritional health consultant, and I have over 17 years experience in the field of naturopathy. Ginger is a plant with leafy stems and yellowish green flowers. The ginger spice comes from the roots of the plant. Ginger is native to warmer parts of Asia, such as China, Japan, and India. But now it's grown in parts of South America and even Africa. It is also now grown in the Middle East and is used as a medicine and also as a food. Ginger is a spice originated from the rhizomes of the plant Zingiber officinale. It is commonly used in cooking in many Asian, Ayurvedic, and Middle Eastern cuisines. Ginger is a relative of curcumin. It is most commonly used to treat gastrointestinal issues and is a great food to eat. Ginger is also a spice, and the rhizomes, which basically, when we talk about the rhizomes, we're actually talking about the root. That is where the root is, the actual plant is growing from. Here we've got some ginger candy that people can make with ginger. And also, there are basic elements to this plant that are just amazing. Ginger contains an incredible bioactive compound, which is called gingerol, which has a powerful antioxidant activity. And this will aid the body to become balanced or basically have homeostasis. This antioxidant activity will cause the cells to get rid of poisons or toxic chemicals that cause the cells to die or become sickled or ill-shaped. Gingerol is basically the main compound inside of the ginger that gives it its healing properties. So it is an analgesic, which means it gets rid of pain. This means it gets rid of pain in the joints. It gets rid of stomach pain. It can also help with headaches or pain in the muscles, or even fibromyalgia pain, which women tend to get a lot these days because fibromyalgia is basically where there's pain all over the body. So gingerol, or the gingerol within the ginger, is essentially good for eliminating pain throughout the body. So anyone who's got headache out there, believe me, ginger will work. Gingerol, or ginger, can work as an anti-inflammatory ingredient. It has the ability to alleviate swollen joints, arthritis, diverticulitis, prostatitis, or hepatitis. Some people, when they have arthritis in their feet, what you can do, you can soak your feet in ginger and mustard seed oil, and that will help to relieve the pain in the feet. So here's someone with some very swollen joints here. The joints become so swollen, their hands can barely move, their fingers can barely move, and this person is in really seriously bad shape. And this is down to the diet as well. Essentially, it's the diet, and this person is seriously struggling with this problem, which can be healed. Gingerol has a very powerful antimicrobial activity. Antimicrobial is maybe a word that some people are not familiar with, but basically means it gets rid of microorganisms or stops their growth. It can get rid of fungus as well. And so it's very important that the ginger has that within it. And this means it can lessen fungus or bacteria, as I said before. And this is what bacteria can sometimes look like inside of your body. Antimicrobial agents are very powerful in the body. Gingerol has an anti-tumor action in the body as well. It means it can actually get rid of tumors. How many people in the world are actually suffering today with tumors? Tumors in their neck, tumors on the face, tumors throughout their body, tumors in the intestines. Tumors are actually bumps that have accumulated waste inside of them, and this is what is called a tumor. Once it gets to a certain size, beyond what they would call a cyst, it gets called a tumor, and then this person is diagnosed as having either fibroid tumors, brain tumor, or whatever. So, but these particular conditions can be alleviated with the gingerol that I'm talking about, which is within the ginger. It's a compound, biochemical compound that's in the ginger that can actually heal tumors. Then we have Paradol. Paradol is an essential oil that's found in the ginger as well. The Paradol is very, very good for different types of conditions in the body. So we're looking at cancers, lung cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer, skin cancer. So whenever cells have lost their oxygen content, then the cells die or they become degenerate cells. But Paradol actually helps to alleviate that condition. So Paradol is not only good for that, but they've done actually studies on mice to find out how Paradol works. So we know from science that it has a very powerful anti-tumor effect. It causes the inhibition of cell invasion via pathogens. It can assist with the healing of fibroid tumors, tumor on the brain, tumor in the lymphatic system, tumor on the neck or the face. Remember, I was talking about the lymphatic system last week. It's basically a highway throughout your body, and this highway is where you are draining out impurities from your system. And you have these ducts within the system that actually pick up waste. And sometimes these lymphatic ducts get blocked up. When they get blocked up, you end up with a condition. So this is what we're trying to avoid. We don't want to get a tumor in the lymphatic system, so we use the ginger or the Paradol within the ginger. And this is what a tumor looks like on the face. Paradol can actually fight that and has the potential to alleviate the condition of a tumor. A tumor can show up at any part of your body. It's really depending on how well or how a person is not able to eliminate toxic waste from their lymphatic system and throughout their system in general. So when you get a lot of toxins in your blood, toxins in your muscles, toxins in your lymphatic system, if you're not able to eliminate these toxins efficiently, then these toxins will end up wherever they can end up. So they can end up in your face, they can end up throughout your body. And that's where a tumor can actually potentially create itself or manifest itself. So Paradol is a very powerful antimicrobial agent. And again, I must emphasize, Paradol is in ginger. It means it gets rid of fungus, microbes, and germs. So basically, it keeps the cells healthy. So when you've got healthy cells, your cells are nice and circular, round cells, no misshapen or ill-shapen cells. You've got healthy cells and you feel healthy. But not many people have that. So Paradol also decreases cellular apoptosis and metastasis. This means it alleviates the symptoms experienced with lymphoma, carcinoma. Apoptosis is a term that's used for cell death. When the cells die inside of your body at a rapid rate, the doctors will call this apoptosis. And when cells become cancerous and they start to spread, they call it metastasis. So metastasis is a nice word that just means the spreading of dead cells or cancer cells. And this is what causes lymphoma, and it's what causes carcinoma, and it can actually be very devastating to you. And you'll actually notice your body not feeling 100% when you've got these kind of conditions manifesting or starting to manifest in your body. You'll have a lack of energy, you'll feel tired, your general overall well-being will just be, just less than 100%. And you'll sense it, but you won't be able to sometimes diagnose yourself for whatever condition you have. So that's why it's very important for you people to actually see a doctor, see someone who's an expert, see someone who's a nutritionist, for example, and maybe get a diagnosis from them. Such as, for example, with myself, I have a scanning machine that I use that scans people for the deficiencies in their bodies. So, for example, if a person has a problem with their digestive system, the scan machine will pick that up, or it can actually scan for imbalances or damage to the reproductive system, nervous system, digestive system, the heart, the liver, the kidneys, the bones, the glands in your body, such as the pineal gland or the hypothalamus gland. All these glands and all these organs in your body can be tested in the scan that I do. And that is very, very useful for me to actually ascertain what's going on in someone's body as regards their blood, their organs, their glands, their cells, and so on. And once I understand exactly what's going on in someone's body, then I can then give them the treatment that they need specifically. I can actually target their treatment more specifically, more accurately. I can say, okay, you need to go on this particular diet because you have this particular problem with your cells or your organs or your glands or so on. So yes, Paradol has an antioxidant function, and it will assist with cellular oxygenation. So what that's doing is basically bringing oxygen to the cells. That's what antioxidants do. They bring the oxidants, or I should say bring the oxygenation to the cell. When you oxygenate a cell, you bring more oxygen to the cell. That's basically what's going on. And then you basically create more cellular regeneration. And that's what the Paradol does, which is within the ginger. Then we have, present within the ginger, we have zingerone. Zingerone is used as a flavoring agent, but it's very, very powerful and used against radiation. It can be used against radiation. So when you take ginger, you're actually protecting against radiation in your body. And it has anti-inflammatory function within it as well, an antibacterial function within it as well. So all of these functions within the zingerone in the ginger is very, very powerful, and these functions protect you against radiation and inflammation and bacteria. So this is what it's doing against radiation. It's giving you a protection against radiation. Most people nowadays, they're sitting in front of a computer all day long, and the radiation from the computer is doing them harm. It's actually drawing out the vital nutrients out of their bodies, such as calcium and magnesium. And that's why people feel like they get stiff joints, for example, clicking joints, because they've been sat in front of a computer and the computer drains them of their nutrient supply in their bodies, making them weak, making them ill, making them sick, radiating the cells on a cellular level. And this is very, very, very serious. This is going on a daily basis. But people are just addicted to their computers and they can't give them up. They're also addicted to their mobile phones, just can't give them up. But the bottom line is, the damage that you're doing, causing a lot of radiation to come into your body, regardless of whether you're addicted or not to the computer, it's going to cause the damage regardless. Once you're in front of that computer on a daily basis, it will cause damage to cells, and it will cause you to have a high amount of radiation in your body. Some people, what they do, they use a protector on their screen. You can actually get that online. You put this protector on your screen, and it will protect you. So you can get a diode, for example, or a bioelectric shield. You put that on your screen, it protects you from the radiation damage. There is actually a gentleman who is a PhD doctor, Dr. Sang, I believe his name is. He's associate professor, lead scientist in functional food for NC and AMT, State University Center for Excellence in Post-Harvest Technologies. at the North Carolina Research Campus in Kannapolis. He's published 4 peer-reviewed articles this year that further the understanding of the chemopreventive potential of ginger. Dr. Sheng-Min Tsang has stated that Shegol is an extremely useful bioactive chemical that can fight against lung cancer and colon cancer. So he's been doing extensive research into one of the components of ginger, which is Shegol. Now, this particular component has been so astounding, so shocking, it's motivated him to actually publish so many articles on it. So let's look at what he's been saying. So this is the gentleman himself, Dr. Tsang, and this is him with a bit of ginger in his hand. He obviously believes in it because he's been campaigning, I should say, throughout the world, talking about the effects of just certain particular elements within the ginger. One of them is Shegol, and the other one is gingerol. He's been focusing on those 2 elements. So basically what he says is it reduces MMP9 expression, which stands for matrix metalloproteinase 9. MMP9, a gene on chromosome 20q12q13, that encodes matrix metalloproteinase 9, which degrades collagens. So when what that actually means, it keeps your cells healthy, because anything that is actually stopping your actual cells in your body from being attacked, from being degraded, such as the collagens within your cells, is actually making your cells healthy. And this is what has been found scientifically about this particular element of Shegol. Dr. Tsang also found that gingerols and Shegols have long been recognized as 2 of the bioactive compounds in ginger, and they're responsible for the spice's ability to ease digestive upsets. Scientific evidence is mounting that links ginger phytochemicals with the capacity to prevent heart disease, arthritis, cancer, and other ailments. This is according to the doctor himself. So he's actually found this out. And here he is again, Dr. Tsang. So he says here, this is his mission statement. Our research goal is to identify bioactive natural products from functioning foods or herbal medicines that can be used to prevent chronic disease, focusing on cancer, metabolic syndrome related diseases such as obesity and diabetic complications, Tsang explained. We want to understand the chemical profiles of compounds in our food, how our body metabolizes them, and whether they are bioactive. We want to know how much we need to eat to get the most benefits, or what kind of formulation we need to make them therapeutically beneficial. We're talking about personal nutrition. So here now, we want to actually understand more about this particular plant, which is ginger. We want to know more about its chemical properties. Ginger is actually commonly used for various types of stomach problems, including motion sickness, colic, upset stomach, gas, diarrhea, irritable bowel syndrome, which is IBS, nausea caused by cancer treatment, nausea caused by HIV/AIDS treatment, nausea and vomiting after surgery, as well as loss of appetite. But according to the International Journal of Preventive Medicine, they're saying ginger has steering potential for treating a number of ailments, including degenerative disorders, arthritis, and rheumatism. Now, why is that? Well, let's look at what's inside of this particular plant. Why is it having this effect? What I think is really doing the great work within this ginger itself is, number one, vitamin C, and number two, it has a high amount of iron. So anything that has a high amount of iron is actually going to help with the red blood cells, and it's going to keep those healthy. Now here it says you've got 1.15 grams of iron. Now 1.15 grams of iron is actually over 1,000 milligrams of iron. So that's a lot of iron. So anyone out there who is, let's say, the person who has anemia, you can use ginger to get rid of that. Also, it has vitamin B6, and it has magnesium, it has phosphorus. So anything that's high in B6 is going to be good for nervous system disorders, it's going to be good for the brain, it's going to be good for digestion of certain proteins and carbohydrates. Anything that's good, anything that's high in magnesium is going to be very, very good for the nervous system, the brain again, and good for the bones. And so this is a very powerful combination of nutrients that we've got here. So let's go back to what the International Journal of Preventive Medicine have actually said. So what they're saying is that the ginger itself is very good for digestive health, indigestion, constipation, ulcers, cardiovascular disorders, atherosclerosis, hypertension, vomiting, diabetes mellitus, and cancer. It also has anti-inflammatory and anti-oxidative properties for controlling the process of aging. Furthermore, it has antimicrobial potential as well, which can help in treating infectious diseases, generations of free radicals, or reactive oxygen species. There's a long list of things that it can actually do. It can actually help with the aging process, which I said before. Now, anything that can help with aging, I know that ladies are going to be really interested in that. The bioactive molecule of ginger, like gingerols, have shown antioxidant activity in various modules, it says there. So all in all, you're looking at something that is so powerful, so unbelievable, so great. I mean, for example, let's look at the zinc. We have zinc in here as well. It doesn't say exactly how much, but the fact that it's on this list means that there's going to be a reasonable amount of zinc. And anything that has zinc is going to be good for schizophrenia, will be good for infections, it'll be good for growth, digestive problems, sterility. Folate is in there as well, and folate is very good. I'm going to talk about folate in a second. Folate is one of the B vitamins and is needed to make red and white blood cells in the bone marrow, and it converts carbohydrates into energy and produce DNA and RNA. Helps you to produce DNA and RNA. This is something unbelievable. Can you imagine something that's helping you to produce your RNA and your DNA? Your RNA and DNA are so important. Many people these days are actually being affected in terms of their DNA. For example, if you drink alcohol on a daily basis, you are now affecting, in a very negative way, your RNA and your DNA. If you smoke cigarettes, you're affecting your RNA and your DNA. According to the article, Medical News Today, they wrote an article saying, why is folate good for you? And this was last updated Tuesday, the 26th of June, 2018. So this is up to the minute almost information about this particular plant, the folate in ginger, by Megan Ware, RDN, and reviewed by Natalie Olson, RD, LD, ACSM, EPC. She's got lots of letters after her name. And this is proof to tell you that the folate contained within the ginger is actually doing some powerful, powerful work. And this is the reason why we should be using this plant on a daily basis, I would say, in our diets to make sure that we keep ourselves healthy. So like I said, it's good for your bones, good for the red and white blood cells, and this is what the folate is doing in your body. And this is your RNA and your DNA. This is a picture of the RNA and the DNA. This is what it looks like, the scientific kind of appearance that it has. So then phosphorus, you've also got phosphorus in the ginger as well. And phosphorus is very good for building strong bones and teeth. It helps to filter out waste from your kidneys. It helps you to manage how your body stores and uses energy. Helps you to grow and maintain and repair tissues and cells. And again, it's helping you to produce RNA and DNA, the body's genetic building blocks. And this according to an organization called Healthline. So it also has B6 in it. Now B6 is not a bus that goes by your nearby place where you live. This is a vitamin B6, very powerful, and is needed for brain development in children and the function of people of all ages. It helps the body make the hormones like serotonin, which is something necessary for regulating your mood. And it has high amounts of norepinephrine, which helps your body cope with stress. And that's by Everyday Health by Catherine Lee, medically reviewed by Kelly Kennedy. So that's just a short list as to some of the benefits of this particular plant. There's lots more. So B6, as I mentioned before, when you have high B6 in your body, your brain and your nerves and your digestive system will work that much better. And this is the brain, a picture of the brain, and this is how it looks on the inside. You got inside in the middle here, the midbrain. This is where all your thinking takes place. You've got the cerebellum, for example. The cerebellum is where your emotional center is. Now, sometimes when people have been affected by the chemicals that are in the food, their emotional center doesn't work very well. And instead of them eating something that is beneficial to their bodies, they start eating food that is not so healthy, because the cerebellum actually is the part of your brain that governs how you feel about yourself and anyone who looks like yourself. So instead of you eating something that's beneficial to you, you'd say, oh man, I don't want to eat no healthy food. What's that all about? Don't eat that. It's a load of rubbish, all that rabbit food. Oh no. But that's what people start to think. They get a negative feeling about eating healthily because they've been taught to think that way, either by friends or by the media. Then you have, inside of ginger, you have something called terpenes or terpines, and that's what gives the ginger its smell. And that is something that is essentially inside of the ginger, and it protects the plant. It repels predators. And then you have something called oleoresin, which is basically an oil resin that you have inside of the ginger as well. And all of these are vital ingredients, and everything within the ginger has its place and it has its function. So yes, there's another ingredient that's very powerful inside of ginger as well, and it's called gingeronone A. According to PubMed results, they suggest that gingeronone A can be used as a potential therapeutic candidate for the treatment of obesity and its complications by suppressing adipose expansion and inflammation. Now, I know some people out there would say, well, you know, I don't really want to lose no weight. I want to get bigger. There are some people I know who are overweight and they want to get bigger. I said, why, Patrick, mum, I don't want to take off too much weight because me all right the way me is. Because me feel all right. No. You should be the right weight for your height, for your structure. Very, very important. Some people, they actually have a condition they call obesity, and they don't want to lose any weight. And you get people who are, let's say, too slim, and they don't want to gain any weight. Usually people who are too slim, they generally want to gain weight, actually. But you get some people who are actually overweight and want to gain more weight because they don't realize that being overweight, even slightly overweight, is not a healthy condition. But yes, gingeronone A is a powerful ingredient within the ginger as well. And then you have something called dihydrotengingerdiol. According to the British Journal of Pharmacology, the above bioactive ingredient fights autoimmune disorders and inflammation. So again, we've got something that's fighting the inflammation in the body. Powerful. This is unbelievable. And this is according to the Journal of Pharmacology. They've actually gone on record to say that it's fighting immune disorders and inflammation. Then we have valenoids, which is what gives you that burning sensation when you eat the ginger. And you can find that in pepper as well. The same ingredient that's in pepper that burns your mouth when you eat it is the same ingredient, or a very similar ingredient to what is in the ginger when you eat the ginger as well. So that burning sensation as well, that also does something in your body that your body needs. Anytime you actually create heat in the body, that's when you're trying to now bring about a healing condition in your body. So say, for example, if you have, let's say you got damage to the skin, the inside skin of your intestinal lining, the first thing your body will naturally do, it will introduce heat to the area, and secondly, it will increase the circulation to the area, and then thirdly, it will bring nutrients to that area, and then it will stiffen the area. And it doesn't matter where that is taking place. It could be on the inside skin of your intestines, or it can be the inside skin of any organ or gland inside your body, or it can be externally. But regardless, the body has the same program. So it will increase the heat, to increase the circulation, to increase nutrients, and it will increase the stiffness. So for example, let's say if you cut your outside skin on your hand, and you cut it, and you're there worried, oh my God, look at my hand, I've cut my hand. Well, guess what's going to happen? The same program. The body's going to rush heat to the area, then it's going to increase the circulation, and then it's going to increase the nutrients to the area, and then it's going to stiffen the area, which we call a scab. It gives you a scab on the area, and that will stiffen the area so that the body can actually heal that area. That's how your body works, and it doesn't matter if it's internally or externally. So basically, gingerindone is actually assisting the body to heal by increasing the heat in the body. So here we've got some ginger biscuits. I would say to everybody, think twice before you eat them, because they've actually added some stuff to ginger biscuits that, boy, you probably wouldn't like to know. Same with ginger cake. I mean, it looks very nice and appetizing and very appealing, but they are putting some ingredients in there that are not beneficial to us. So for example, white sugar. Most cakes will have white sugar in them. White sugar will pull moisture from the veins, the arteries, the nerves, the bones, the glands, the reproductive system, and cause stiffness of the veins and arteries, making them stiff, making them prone to break, causing you a problem in your health. So what we don't want to do is get into too much cakes, too much biscuits, too much salty foods, too much crunchy salty foods like crisps and these types of things, because they're very, very high in salt and sugar. And as I say, salt and sugar will pull moisture from the veins, arteries, make them stiff, making you prone to get an illness. It will cause your blood pressure to go too high. When your blood pressure goes high, that's actually a defense reaction of your body. Your body, when your body sends your blood pressure high, your body is actually trying to increase the pressure to increase the nutrients to the vital organs that need it, because you're putting something inside of your body that is nutritionally deficient. So if you put something inside your body, such as salt and sugar, that's nutritionally deficient, your body is going to react. And it's going to react by pushing up the pressure to give you more nutrients, because you're lacking in nutrients. So it has to keep those vital organs running by increasing the pressure. So blood pressure is the body trying its best to keep you alive. It's really trying to keep you alive, but it's not something that should be artificially dealt with. If you use something artificial or synthetic to get blood pressure, then you can't then continue to use something synthetic to get rid of blood pressure. You have to use something natural, something that has high amounts of nutrients. So this is a typical kind of ingredients list, if you like, for a ginger cake. So here we've got the self-raising flour. We've got bicarbonate of soda. We've got ginger, which is just 1 teaspoon, or is it tablespoon? Yeah, tablespoon. We've got cinnamon. So the cinnamon and ginger is fine. Ground mixed spice, that seems okay. Then we've got butter. Butter is a saturated fat, can be very harmful to the body. Muscovado sugar. So now here what we've done, we've added sugar into the mix, and we've added self-raising flour. Once you put sugar and white flour, usually it's white flour, once you put those two together, you're guaranteed to get high blood pressure. And then we've also got milk. So milk, sugar, and white flour combined would definitely give you high blood pressure, would definitely give you a hormone imbalance, because milk has high amounts of synthetic hormones within it. They're giving it bioengineered hormones. Bioengineered hormones are actually in milk, and that's caused by the amount of chemicals and drugs that they've given to the cows. So when you eat that, it causes you to have a hormone imbalance, causes you to have early menopause if you're a woman, and causes you to have early andropause if you're a man. So all of these problems are caused just by eating a cake. And someone says to me, it's only a cake, mate, there's nothing wrong with a cake, I don't eat a cake, Pat, what's the matter? It's only one cake. I mean, I only had one cake this month, nothing wrong with that. Yes, but you've actually caused problems, because look how much sugar there is here. 50 grams of icing sugar, along with more sugar again, with the dark muscovado sugar. And usually the dark sugar, people think dark sugar is actually healthier than, let's say, white sugar, but usually the dark sugar is white sugar coated with caramel a lot of the time. And you've got black treacle, which is very sweet as well. So, and you've got golden syrup, you see, which probably has maple syrup or something like that in it. So basically, this is just milk and sugar. And milk and sugar is probably the worst combination you can put together, along with white flour. In fact, scientists know from actually giving mice high blood pressure, when they want to test mice with high blood pressure medication, what they do, they give the experimental mice bleached white flour and sugar as feed to the mice, so that it will give the mice high blood pressure, so they can actually test the high blood pressure medication. This is what they do. So they know that if they put this in a combination for you in your cake and make that a part of the ingredients, make it all taste nice with all these lovely ingredients, some of them natural, some of them not, you're going to like the taste of it. And these are very addicting. These ingredients are so addicting because some of them are actually very natural, as I said. But then when you mix these natural ingredients with some of the unnatural synthetic ingredients, you've got a serious problem when you eat them on a regular basis. And like I said, you'll get high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, arthritis, digestive problems, because white flour is not very easy to digest. It's actually lacking in about 22 minerals and vitamins, white flour is. So when you eat that, it actually drains your body of its own nutrient content. And that's what's making you sick. If you would like a free healthy ginger cake recipe, please type your name, your email address and telephone number in the message box on the Zoom platform, and we will send it to you. So yes, anyone who wants that, I will send it to you with pleasure. So I thank you all for listening to me. This has been me, Patrick Montague, Natural Health. And if anybody actually want to ask any questions, you're welcome to do so. Thank you.
Hi, Patrick. I just joined you about 20 minutes into your presentation, so I missed the first part. I'm sorry about that, but I just wanted to just pick up on what you said about the butter content in the cake versus the man-made like margarine and things like that, because sometimes people say that, you know, I'm not going to be eating margarine because it's basically got so many chemicals in it, so butter is the better option. So I just wanted to do your thoughts on that, on what you think.
What, you're asking if butter is a better option than what?
Than margarine.
I don't think there's much difference. I think the key thing here is, are you taking in a saturated fat from the butter? And if you're taking something that's saturated fat, then the saturated fat is going to be the problem. So, and also again, are you taking something that is a butter made from a plant, or is it a butter made from an animal? So if it's a butter made from a cow, then you don't want to take that into your body, because that will be a saturated fat which had to go for a process. And that process was, they had to deodorize it, they had to hydrogenate it, they had to do all these kind of different processes to it to make it the butter that we see. And that is what blocks up your arteries, and that's what can give you heart disease, cancer. It basically causes the cells to stick together when you get into saturated fats from butter that come from an animal source. Causes cells to stick together and causes sickle cell and other kinds of problems. Nasty, nasty combination. Anybody else got any questions?
Yeah, Patrick, I'd like to ask a question.
Yeah.
I have a relative who's on this line right now who eats ginger on a regular basis, almost like it was candy to a child. Here's my question. What condition is not going to materialize in that person's life because they have regular ginger in their diet?
All of the conditions that I mentioned earlier on are the conditions that the person would be avoiding, I would imagine, from taking ginger. But that doesn't mean that this person would necessarily be totally healthy. The rest of the food that this person eats as well, along with the ginger, is the most important thing. So a person can eat ginger, but then they could be eating hamburgers every day. They could be eating cheese, milk, eggs, dairy, whatever every day. That would not be an insurance to make sure that the person will never get sick just because they're eating ginger every day. The key thing is that the person consumes a natural diet, fruit, whole grains, nuts, seeds, vegetables, basically a natural balanced diet with a wide variety of different types of vegetables, different types of grains, and so on. That's what will really make you healthy, plus the ginger on top. So the ginger is not the be-all and end-all, it's just a part. It's basically giving you protection, if you like, so that if she did actually, or if the person did actually eat unhealthily, the ginger would give a bit of protection. But there's only so much Mother Nature can protect you if you break Mother Nature's laws. There are very strict laws in nature, you know what I mean? And if you actually break those laws, you pay the price in some way. You're not going to get total protection from one plant.
Yeah, hi, can I have a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I heard some of the beginning of the conversation, and obviously it's regarding sugar and it's affecting the body. Assalamu alaikum. Obviously we know that sugars are bad, and you know it can age us and stuff, but we also know that there is a positive to sugars in terms of memory and energy and such. You know, what are the alternative good sugars? If you've already mentioned it, I'm sorry because I didn't hear it. But can you give me a list of like alternative good sugars?
That's a good question. Thank you for that. So basically, we have good sugars that are in the plant already. So yes, you're right. There are good sugars, but the good sugars, the only good sugars on this planet, are the sugars that are actually contained within the plant, that have not been isolated away from the plant. So when I say that sugars are bad, I'm not saying all sugars are bad. I'm saying that sugars, when they've been isolated from the plant and they've been taken to a factory and they've been processed, separated from their natural environment, which is the plant itself, and they're given to you as an isolated, concentrated substance, those sugars are the sugars that are damaging to you. But the ones that are healthy for you are the ones that are still contained within the plant itself. So there's sugar, for example, in mangoes. There's sugar in apples. But if you ate the sugar from the apple, directly from the apple itself, and you ate an apple, that sugar will do you no harm because it has all the vitamins and all the minerals and all the necessary elements within it to keep you healthy. But it's when you actually now have an isolated sugar, and a company comes along and says, right, we're going to isolate this sugar from the sugar cane. That's where the problem lies, and that's what causes damage to the organs in your body, damage to the pancreas. There's a part of your pancreas called the isolates and Langerhans, and inside of that, those glands, when they get damaged, that's where the problem is, because you're not able to actually break down the sugar. You see, because the isolates and Langerhans inside of the pancreas itself just completely are destroyed. So they can't do their job of helping you to break down the sugar, metabolize the sugar correctly. That's where the problem is.
Thank you for that, Patrick. Angie has asked the question: does powder or ground ginger weaken the fresh ginger?
Ground ginger, if they've not added anything to it. So sometimes they like to sneakily add certain things like preservatives or whatever to certain things that have been ground and dried. So like a lot of times in dried food, they will add sulfuric acid, or they may add some chemical to preserve it. And when they do that, that's where the harm is caused. But if it was just ground ginger with no additives whatsoever, then that would do you no harm. But if they're adding something to it to preserve it, then that's where the harm is caused.
I think that leads on to the next question is, if you do ground ginger yourself, how long can it be in that state before it starts to go off?
You'd want to be doing something with it kind of soon. You wouldn't want to leave it for too many days. Again, one of the things that people do to actually make stuff last longer is they will take the water away. So they'll grind it and they'll make sure that the water is, deficient. Once it's deficient in water and sometimes nutrients as well, then that will mean it will stay on the shelf longer. So, but then if you lose the nutrients and you lose the water, you're actually denaturing the food. And if you denature the food, when you put it inside your body, it will denature you. So it depends. There's, as I said before, there are very strict laws in nature. If you denature the food will denature you. If you leave the food and eat the food in the way that God made it, then the food will keep you the way God made you. You see what I'm saying? So basically, it's about understanding the laws and abiding by the laws. And once you abide by the laws of nature, so there's nothing wrong, for example, if you blended up some ginger in a blender, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong if you would pound this ginger with a mortar and pestle or whatever you might want to use. You pound it. Drying it is a problem because when you dry it, once you eat dry ginger, when you put that inside your body, that will dry you out. That's what you're doing. So anything you do to the food, you're doing to yourself. If you dry it out, it will dry you out. If you deplete it of its nutrients by processing it, it will actually make you lose your nutrients in your body when you eat it as a processed food. So the ideal way to eat the ginger is to just eat it the way it's made. I know some people who will just eat raw ginger, like it's nothing. And that will aid their digestive system to work much, much better. Pregnant women, or I should say women who've just had babies who are breastfeeding, they should be careful of eating too much ginger because when you do that, it can actually dry up the breast milk. So they're the only kind of people I would say they shouldn't really eat too much ginger because it can actually dry up the breast milk. But apart from that, most people can eat ginger without any problems at all.
Okay. Another question that's in the chat box, Patrick. Angie says, I freeze my ginger, is that okay? And then I grate it when needed in my Sirisi, soursop leaves, etc. concoction. So,
yeah, if you freeze any food, you're going to lose roughly about 30% of the nutrients of the food once you freeze it. About between 20 and 30%. So again, you're slightly denaturing it, and you're going to get about 70% of the actual nutrients in it. That's why I actually advocate for anybody, don't get into frozen food. Try and get as much fresh fruits, vegetables as you possibly can, rather than getting frozen food, because frozen food, you can even taste it. It doesn't have that flavor that fresh food that hasn't been frozen has.
Okay, thanks a lot. Well, Angie says that she'll start eating it natural from now on, and I'm going to be following Angie in that one as well. I'm going to go out there and buy some. Anybody else got any questions before we let Patrick go?
Yes, I've got a question.
Go ahead,
what is the other alternative for sugar? Because if I have sugar, I would tend to buy brown sugar, and I eat a lot of honey.
Yeah. So brown sugar, as I said before in the talk, brown sugar usually is white sugar coated with caramel, And a lot of people have got into this whole idea of buying brown sugar as a replacement for white sugar, thinking that they're actually healthier when they're doing it. But brown sugar will give you diabetes just as quick as white sugar will. And if you get into honey, honey will give you diabetes in the same way that white sugar will give you diabetes, but it'll just be slower. So honey might take maybe 5-10 years to give you diabetes, but sugar can give you diabetes almost within a year, depending on who you are. But basically, that's what goes on with white sugar. So basically, I would use, if I were you, I would use honey as like a stepping stone to actually go into a totally natural diet where I'm not taking any sugars at all. So you go from white sugar to brown sugar, if that makes you feel better psychologically, and then go from the brown sugar to honey, stay on the honey for a little while until you cleanse your mind, body, and spirit from the sugar which is in the honey. Because basically in honey, you've got something like 30% fructose and 70% sucrose. That's what's in honey, which is too much. You can't deal with that. Fructose is actually damaging to your liver, and sucrose is damaging to your pancreas. So when you put those two together, it's very damaging. Now, I know there's people out there that say, what about, I forget the name of this one. There's supposed to be a very healthy honey on the market right now. It's supposed to be really, really healthy, and I forget the name of it at the moment. But basically, honey is honey, and don't care which honey it is. You're not dealing with something that is from a plant. You're dealing with something that came through a bee to you from a plant. So it's a second-hand sugar, and basically it's been processed by the honeybee. So anything that's been processed through the body of a honeybee is like it's been through a processing plant. So therefore, all of the nutrients that was there originally, when it was in its original state, when that sugar was in the plant, those nutrients aren't there anymore. And because those nutrients aren't there anymore, you're going to suffer because of it, because you're eating something that's actually nutritionally deficient. But granted, I take what you're saying, you're trying to eat healthier, and yes, it's okay to go on to honey for a little while, but then after a certain period of time, once you've decreased the amount of white sugar from your diet and you've gone into the honey, you might want to try and see if you can do without honey, do without sugars altogether eventually. But it's a process. Everyone's going through a process.
Dion says,
sorry to cut you again. Yeah. My problem is that I have a sweet tooth, and I just can't imagine a life without sugar. But recently, my doctor sent me a letter to attend a pre-diabetic class. I'm 54 years old, and I'm thinking, no way I want to get involved with that.
Yeah, I know the struggle that you're going through. You're talking to someone who was also a sugar addict. There was nobody who could eat more stuff that had sugar than me. But it took me a long time. It's a process that you have to go through. If you want, you can always call me up, or you can send me an email. And,
send your email. Yeah,
I can organize a consultation for you. But basically, you have to understand that sugar is a very addicting thing, and once you're eating a sugar that is nutritionally deficient, right there is the reason why you're addicted. Because once you become nutritionally deficient, then you're going to crave this thing that you're trying to get the nutrients from, but it doesn't have the nutrients, so therefore you're going to want to eat it more and more. That's the problem with sugar and sugary foods. That's the problem with honey. They made them deliberately nutritionally deficient to get you addicted.
Patrick? I think that Dion was suggesting Manuka might be the honey that you were trying
That was the one I was trying to remember. Yeah, Manuka honey, because it's been so long I haven't even looked at it for ages. Yeah, so whether it's Manuka honey or whatever, it doesn't matter. Honey is honey, sugar is sugar. There is sugar in it. Maybe they haven't added sugar to it, but it is a sugar that has gone through a process via the honey bee, and so therefore that honey is harmful to your body because of the fact that it's gone through a process. Anything that goes through a process, such as like when food has gone to a processing plant, that's going to make you nutritionally deficient. That's going to make you ill. That's going to break down your system. It's going to damage your pancreas, going to damage your liver, going to damage all the cells in your body. It causes cell death, actually. What they found with sugar, when they did experiments on it, when they actually did tests on sugar, it causes up to 146 diseases. And that's any sugar. It doesn't matter which one. It's sucrose, it can be glucose, not to mention the other sugars that exist. Maybe I should do another talk on sugars.
What about stevia? Jeff suggests stevia might be better. What's your thought?
Yeah, stevia is good, but sometimes what they do, they process this thing and they make it white. So they process it white. But if you can actually get green stevia, then that would be okay. Yeah, and that's about 7 times sweeter than sugar, I believe.
Fantastic. Ibrahim says dates are the best alternative for sugar. This, I think, might have been for Sandra's benefit. What's your thoughts?
Absolutely. Dates I'd recommend as well. So dates are high in potassium, magnesium, calcium, iron, zinc, and many other vitamins and minerals. So yeah, I would go along with dates.
Patrick, I want to thank you very much for giving us a very, very informative presentation on ginger. And I'll definitely be adding this one to my dietary program. And everybody else, I want to thank you very much for your contribution, and I want to thank you for your attendance. And I want to wish you all, a good evening. Take care.